My name is Ethan Caldwell, and if you told me a year ago that my 3-car garage would spark a suburban war, I'd have cracked open a beer and laughed it off. I wasn't hunting for trouble. My uncle left me this house's pride and joy when he passed 2 years back. Tucked just beyond the reach of the Willow Creek HOA, it was my sanctuary, a slice of freedom ringed by manicured lawns and nosy neighbors. I poured my heart into keeping it pristine, a hand-laid stone driveway, restored ivy trellises, and a garage bay turned workshop. No committee dictated my paint colors or flower beds. That autonomy was my haven. Willow Creek used to leave me alone, but that changed when Deborah Langley seized the HOA presidency. Imagine a woman with a clipboard as an extension of her arm and a glare that could wilt roses. 6 months in, she transformed the neighborhood into her personal fiefdom. Fines for unapproved shrubs skyrocketed. Garage sales were banned outright. The community became her chessboard, and she played queen. I ignored it. My land was outside their grasp, backed by deeds, surveys, notarized and ironclad. Their rules didn't touch me. Or so I thought. It started small. Flyers on my gate about community upgrades. A smug invite to an HOA meeting I had no reason to attend. Then one morning, a letter with the HOA's embossed seal was taped to my garage door. I assumed it was another overzealous nudge, but my stomach dropped when I read it. They weren't inviting me. They were demanding my keys. The letter ordered me to hand over access to my garage by week's end for infrastructure staging. Attached was a schedule, contractors REVYing, trenches dug, pipelines laid. My garage, my uncle's legacy, was rebranded as their construction hub. A second page listed fines due law $1,000 daily for noncompliance, up to due law $30,000 before they dragged me to court. No negotiation, just a threat signed by Deborah Langley, her signature a taunting flourish. I called her immediately. "Ethan," she purred, "I'm so glad you reached out." I cut to the chase. "This is a mistake. I'm not in your HOA." Her voice stayed syrupy. "We know, but the board voted. This project's for the greater good. Your garage is perfect, and frankly, you barely use it." I was floored. "You think you can seize my property?" She chuckled. "It's temporary. Don't make this difficult. That's what the fines are for." It was like arguing with a dictator who thought my rights were optional. I hung up, fury simmering, and called my lawyer, Sarah Bennett, a college friend with a knack for property law and a temper when crossed. She reviewed the letter and called back in a fury. "Ethan, this is illegal on every level. They're done." We dug deeper and found a scam so bold it stole my breath. HOA filings with the city falsely claimed my backyard was a municipal utility reserve. Forged maps redrew my property line, and permits were already approved, listing me as a consenting party. Contractors were hired, materials en route. They weren't asking, they were stealing. With 5 days until construction, I turned my property into a fortress. Visible cameras went up, plus hidden ones in birdhouses and fence posts. Tripwires triggered alerts. Fake signs warned of anti-tamper systems. A spotlight and loudspeaker above the garage blared. "You're trespassing. Police notified." It was excessive, but I wanted them to feel like they were storming a bunker. 2 days before the deadline, a black SUV pulled up. 2 men, one with a clipboard, another with a crowbar, strode onto my lawn, circling my garage like vultures. The crowbar guy pried at the side door. My pulse raced. I let them dig their grave, then hit the alarm. The spotlight flared, the loudspeaker roared, and the crowbar clattered to the ground. They scrambled, panic etched on their faces, caught in 4K from 3 angles. I stepped outside. "Gentlemen, stay put. Cops are coming." The clipboard guy stammered. "Deborah Langley said it was approved." I pointed at the blinking camera. They froze until the police arrived. I handed over a USB with the footage, and Sarah was already drafting a lawsuit. I thought I'd won. I celebrated with beers and video games at my buddy Tom's, laughing like the fight was over. But the next morning, I returned to a nightmare. My garage door was sealed with a new lock. The keypad was gone. A 2-foot trench scarred my driveway, concrete shattered, gravel shoveled aside. My rose garden was flattened, cameras disconnected, tripwires cut. It wasn't vandalism, it was a surgical strike. My camera app showed nothing, the feeds were dead. Then I remembered the birdhouse camera, offline and SD powered. I yanked it down, hands shaking, and plugged it into my tablet. There, at midnight, was Deborah Langley on my driveway, blueprints in hand, smirking as she directed 2 men, one in an HOA security polo, another with a backhoe. They swapped locks, tore out cameras, and dug up my land. Deborah even wheeled away my roses, taping a letter to the door before sauntering off. I ripped it open. On HOA letterhead, "Ethan, the community thanks your cooperation. Work has begun. Interference will not be tolerated. D. Langley." Rage burned through me. This wasn't overreach, it was a crime. Sarah filed the $2.5 million lawsuit against the HOA, Deborah personally, and the contractors, alleging trespassing, vandalism, fraud, and coercion. The story exploded local news, then national headlines. HOA tyrant seizes man's garage and pipeline plot. The courtroom buzzed on day one. Deborah sat primly, powdered and poised, as if cosmetics could deflect justice. Judge Marcus Holt, a no-nonsense veteran, demanded EVY Denke. Sarah played the footage, Deborah's smirk, the crowbar, the midnight raid. The letter, with handwriting analysis, was damning. A zoning expert exposed the forged maps. A tech specialist detailed the camera sabotage. A former HOA treasurer admitted Deborah bullied the board into silence. Deborah's lawyer tried to spin it as a community benefit, but Judge Holt wasn't HOA-ing it. "You forged documents and listed Mr. Caldwell as consenting. Was that a misunderstanding?" Deborah whispered frantically to her lawyer, who pivoted to blaming me. "Mr. Caldwell's traps were excessive," Sarah shot back. "He protected his property after break-ins and threats. If that's excessive, this court's lost its mind." The room laughed. Then Deborah stood, unbidden, voice shaking. "Do you know how hard it is to manage 100 families? This pipeline was for everyone." Holt cut her off. "Did those families know you planned to steal a non-member's garage?" Deborah sputtered. "It wasn't illegal, it was necessary." Sarah pounced. "You wanted his garage because it was easy. You thought he was weak." Deborah screamed. "He was smug. He ignored us." Holt's gavel silenced her. The final nail was an email from Deborah. "I don't care what that loner thinks. His garage is mine." The jury took under an hour. Verdict: $2.3 million for me, plus criminal referrals for Deborah. She left the courtroom hollow, her reign shattered. The fallout was swift. Deborah faced felony charges: fraud, vandalism, conspiracy. Her assets were frozen, her husband gone, her reputation a meme. The HOA imploded, board members resigned, and residents demanded its dissolution. Contractors lost licenses, the city blacklisted them. My garage was restored: new concrete, roses replanted, a high-tech gate. The money was nice, but the vindication was sweeter. Neighbors who once ignored me now waved. Strangers thanked me. I started the garage: Liberty Fest burgers, music, and HOA horror stories. The new HOA president, a retired cop named Dave, toasted me. "You've done more for property rights than most lawyers." I grinned. "I just wanted my car safe, Dave." Deborah? She's pulling weeds at a garden center, denied by her new HOA after a quick Google. My garage now sports a banner. "Private property, no pipelines, no tyrants." Beside it, Deborah's letter hangs framed, next to a plaque. She tried to dig a trench. Now she's digging out of probation. Kids wear it on t-shirts. Justice doesn't always roar, sometimes it's a quiet VY Tory, sealed behind a steel door, guarded by the law and a man who refused to bend.